We are on. Let me get everything situated over here. I know I said 9:30, 2 minutes early. I highly doubt many people are going to come on, especially when I post it this late. So, let me get my Twitch stream up just in case somebody gets on there. I got to find it. Give me a second. I put it in an odd spot. If I remember correctly, it's there. So we are on YouTube and on Twitch. So if you're not on the YouTube channel, you just got to go on YouTube and search Crew Chief's Corner, and you'll find our stuff on there. And then Twitch, it's twitch.tv/Giants, like the football team, 02122, and we are on there as I get a gazillion messages because I haven't been on my laptop in 3 weeks, or 2 weeks actually, and now I'm getting like probably 89 messages dinging in my ear. Yep, that's fun. All right, we get it. I missed a lot of text messages on my laptop. I don't need the 100 notifications about it, or it's got to be over 100 now. This is probably almost 200 at this point. So while that's going to be annoying me personally, we'll get the episode started here in a minute. But if you guys haven't heard, we are now on, not on just the major ones. We actually added Amazon within the last time we did an episode here on the Crew Chief's Corner podcast, are on a live record. So we have Amazon, we have Audible. You can go check out Crew Chief's Corner on either app. The podcast is there. I believe all the episodes that we've ever done are on there. So that's really cool. I'm really excited about that. I think it's going to be another great avenue for people to listen to the podcast. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a good thing, and we'll get started here with the podcast in a second. Let me get, I got to get the thing going here. I got to make sure I'm on the right setting, which now I am. Should be good. Should be good on the live stream too. If you guys can't hear me, just let me know. But I don't think there's anybody on either one, so that's fine. Really just doing it just to put content up on either on both pages, because we haven't been on the YouTube channel in probably over a month, and we haven't been on the Twitch stream as well for probably about a month or so. So looking forward to getting on there. So let's get this party started. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Bobby here from the Crew Chief's Corner podcast, bringing you another episode here of the show. Sorry we missed doing a weekly show after Richmond. I thought we were going to be able to do one, and then we weren't able to. But here we are today, Sunday, leading into the Cup race. So I figured we come on. We had some time. The Cup race doesn't start until later tonight. To get on and talk about Richmond and Bristol, just to get you guys caught up on that. For those of you that follow along with the podcast weekly, I felt like I owed it to you guys for that. And then we are also going to preview Las Vegas, at least the Cup race. I know the Xfinity and truck race happened. I'm not going to talk about them in this episode because that's what we're going to discuss later this week. But I figured today we'll just come on. We'll do an episode going over Richmond and Bristol. And then we will preview the Cup race a little bit and talk about some 2022 news. I almost said 2021 news, 2022 news for the off season and what's coming. Some driver changes already starting to happen, and a little bit of some other stuff as well. So let's get into our open segment here. So obviously, a couple weeks ago, I was down at Richmond at the races, and I'll talk a little bit more about this, but really first time I've been to Richmond in 6 years. And I tell you, it was enjoyable to get down there. I haven't been down there, like I said, in 6 years, and it was just really neat to see what's changed. I mean, realistically, the area hasn't changed that much. I would say it's pretty similar to what it was 6 years ago. The one thing, obviously, the big noticeable thing was obviously the difference in the grandstand seating. Obviously, a lot less than what there was even when I was there Obviously, this is the first time I was ever in the fan grounds, or whatever they're calling it, the infield there at Richmond. It was very nice. I mean, I gotta say, out of the 4 or 5 other tracks I've been to, whether it's Watkins Glen, Charlotte, or Dover, or Pocono, obviously I think Richmond has really stepped up their game. I know NASCAR owns Richmond, and they also own Watkins Glen as well. But I really think that you look at what NASCAR did to Richmond, and really put that infield in the garage area, the way they laid it out and everything, the way that you could walk and see the teams working on the cars as they're preparing for the race, I thought was really neat. I did not spend the money and go in and watch, every single thing with, Xfinity and Cup. What happened was Friday night I got down with a friend of mine who I've known for a long time. We've met up at a lot of races over the years. We haven't gone to many together. He's always had other friends that he's gone with, and I usually go with my girlfriend Alyssa. So this was one that I couldn't take Alyssa to, because she's now in her job. She's a teacher, and she teaches Monday through Friday, and I was going down Friday night to go watch the modified race. And we went down Friday afternoon, and part of the ticket for Friday night was you were able to go into the fan grounds, and you were able to kind of walk around and meet some of the drivers. You're able to get autographs. There's an autograph session with the modified drivers from 5:45 to 6:15 p.m. I went in the garage area, just was really looking for Ryan Preece, Doug Coby. I have a friend that works on JB Fortin's team, so I was going down to get JB's autograph and see if there was maybe somebody else I knew, or knew of at least, and get their autograph. But there was nobody else really there. Ryan Newman, I don't know what the hell he was doing. I understand Newman not maybe going to go get the autograph because of he drives for Roush, and maybe Roush doesn't want him missing races because he catches COVID from a fan. I don't know how that looks, but anyhow, I mean, I got Ryan Preece, I got Doug Coby, JB Fortin, and I think I got a couple other random drivers as well. But really, like I said, a neat garage layout, interesting to go in there and just see how much you could see if you went and spent the money on it. I think the passes for this past race at Richmond was $70 for the one day show, basically, with the Cup and Xfinity all in one day. So that was different. But the modified race, I know the last episode I said, it's my first modified race, and stupid me forgot. How could I forget? Being up here in the Northeast or Northern New Jersey, I mean, realistically, there's not a lot of racing opportunities. If I want to go to a local track, I got to drive probably about 2.5 hours south. I have to go down to Wall Stadium down in Wall Township, New Jersey, which I've been there a few times. And obviously they run a lot of modifieds there. They have tour type mods that they race there and things like that. And they have a track mod, I think, as well. So I've been down, I've seen modified races. I don't know why I said, it was the first time it's probably the first time I actually saw the Whelen Modified Tour per se, because I don't think I've gone out of my way to go to Wall for a tour race or anything like that. I think I've gone down when they've had like NASCAR night. They had one probably, maybe 04, 05 in that range. And they had Michael Waltrip, Kenny Wallace, and I want to say Sterling Marlin. Was the other driver that they had at the autograph session. Or no, I know who it was. It was Kenny Wallace. It was Kenny Wallace, Michael Waltrip, and Steve Park. They had Steve Park there because for those of you that have followed, the Northeast racing drivers, Steve Park came up through the modified ranks and stuff, and he raced a lot at Wall Township as well. So, at Wall Stadium. So he was there. I don't think Truex was there per se, because if it was 04 or 05, he was in the middle of his Busch Series career, and I don't think they brought Truex in. But they brought Mikey Waltrip in, and then they were supposed to race. I don't know what they actually ended up racing. They were supposed to race, I don't know if it was modifieds or they were supposed to run street stocks or what they ended up racing, but they all were supposed to end up racing something. I don't think they ended up running modifieds. I think they ran like street stocks or something, but I don't really remember what exactly turned out in that deal. But it was kind of funny how that all worked out. So I've definitely seen some modified races. So Wall, and then obviously the other track I used to go to, and it's no longer in existence, but those of you that live in New Jersey know that we had Flemington Speedway. Obviously, I've been there several times for a truck race. And a lot of times when they had the truck races, they had other support races there. So they would have like a modified or street stocks and things like that. They had other racing going on. And then the truck race was like the main attraction, but they had, support races around it. So that you got a full day out of your $40 ticket or whatever it was to get into the truck race. So, yeah, silly me forgot I've been to modified races before, but nonetheless, the race on Friday night. And the reason why I'm doing it in the open segment is because we really don't cover the modified tour on this podcast. And I don't try to pretend to be somebody that covers it. So I just figured it would be nice to come on here and talk about the modified race in the open segment and just really say that it was an enjoyable race. Ryan Preece, Ronnie Williams, there were some really good guys up at the front of the field that just were competing, and to watch him, Justin Bonsignor, and some of those guys just mix it up. It was an enjoyable race. I mean, if they bring the mods back next year to Richmond, and you're looking for another reason to get to Richmond a day early or so, I would say go buy the ticket. It was $35 to get in to the modified race. I thought it was reasonable considering the mods haven't been there in a long time, and also kind of considering that there's not going to be a big draw for this race. I mean, if there was 3,000 or 4,000 people there for the mod race, I think that was big. There was just not a lot of people there, and I understand they scaled the race back to one day. I understand they didn't have Xfinity Friday night and then have cups and cup on Saturday night. It was just a one-day show. You could go watch Xfinity, watch the cup race, and that was it. So, and it was a combination ticket. So it was very, very interesting. So what we'll do is we'll take a quick break. But like I said, it was nice to see Ryan Preece win in person in a mod. A really great night. A lot of swapping of the lead. Those guys were mixing it up in the modified race. I mean, that was pretty cool. And then a shout out to Justin Bonsignor. He wins his third Whalen Modified Tour Championship. He won that last night up at Stratford Motor Speedway. He picked up his first career win at that track. He beat Doug Kobe. So shout out to Justin on getting the championship. I know he had some problems, him and Patrick Emmerling, who was going for the championship. The season championship, the tour championship as well. He had an interesting evening. I think he finished third or something, but those were the two competing for the championship. Doug Kobe finished second in that race. So the Napa Fall Final happened last night. So shout out there to Justin on his third championship on the Whalen Modified Tour. So what we'll do is we'll take a quick break here on the Coochie's Corner podcast. And on the other side, we are going to talk about Richmond in more detail. We'll talk about the Xfinity and the Cup race. We will talk about some of the different things that were there at Richmond, kind of do what I like to call the races kind of summary of events out there at Richmond. And then we will move on to the races down at Bristol. But first, you're going to hear from our friends at CircleBDiecast.com. They have a lot of really cool race win diecast, so you can go check them out. They will have your Martin Truex Jr. Race win diecast. You can get that in standard, and also some special finishes, I believe, as well. And also you can get that autographed if you want an autographed Martin Truex Jr. diecast. You can check them out on CircleBDiecast.com for that. They also have Noah Gragson's Xfinity race winner on there as well. I believe autographed and non-autographed as well. And then obviously we'll talk about the Bristol races, the wild finish of AJ Allmendinger on the Friday night race. And then you can get the Saturday night winner from Kyle Larson as well. And also this week, big news, Lionel announced that they are going to do a Checker or Wreckers series release of Kyle Larson's second place finishing Darlington car. And that is also available from our friends at CircleBDiecast.com. So you can check them out. Remember to use my promo code Crew Chiefs Corner There's no apostrophe in the S. It's all Crew Chief's Corner. And you get free shipping in the continental U.S. if your order is $20 or more. So free shipping still exists. I know last episode I kind of screwed it up. It still exists. It's still a thing with CircleBDiecast.com. Use my promo code Crew Chiefs Corner, no apostrophe in the S, and you'll get free shipping on all continental U.S. orders over $20. And check out our friends at CircleBDiecast.com. We'll be right back here on the Crew Chiefs Corner podcast. I'm Bobby Bailey. So what I'm doing right now, just for those of you that are watching, I don't think anybody's actually on either way. But if someone is on here, I'm just letting the stuff actually upload to Anchor. So that's what I'm in the middle of doing right now. It's got a process, but I'm also grabbing my intros and things like that I already have downloaded into Anchor. So that's that. I need the outro. Where the hell is that? Dun, dun, dun. There it is. Come on. There we go. maybe. All right, we're going to get ready here. All right, welcome back to the Crew Chiefs Corner podcast. This is Bobby Bailey bringing you now our race recap from Richmond. And as I alluded to in our opening segment, obviously I was down at Richmond in person. First time I've been there, like I said, in 6 years. So really excited to get back to Richmond. Definitely a different experience going to a one-day show to watch Xfinity and Cup. I don't remember actually seeing that really at Richmond ever. I mean, I know they've done double headers with the series at different points in time. I haven't seen that yet at Richmond, so it was different. It was a weird atmosphere, I would say. You know, this was the weekend for me, or this was the Saturday for me that I really looked and I thought I saw as many Dale Earnhardt Jr. T-shirts as I saw Chase Elliott T-shirts, or insert your other most popular driver after Chase and Dale Jr. It was really a sea of blue there. A lot of Dale Jr. fans obviously went. There was a combination ticket where you got the ticket to the race, and then I think you got like a 25% off coupon or something like that at Dale Jr.'s hauler. The hauler was mobbed every single minute you looked around, and they were selling a ton of T-shirts, ton of hats. I bought a shirt and a hat, but I did not buy a diecast, which was great. The diecasts were a ripoff. If you guys haven't heard, Lionel has increased the prices on, but it started as of June 1st. It seems like the haulers have passed that increase right onto you right at the racetrack already. So, for example, they had Dale Jr.'s car that he ran, which was Unilever, which has been a long-time supporter of Dale Jr.'s car. Normally, he would run a car. So, so those of you who are watching on the stream, you can see I'm pointing to my Hellman's hat that I'm wearing. But normally, he would have raced a Hellman's car. But being that it was the 20th anniversary of 9/11, Unilever decided to run a special paint scheme, and they called it United for America. And it was a really neat paint scheme, and it was different than what Dale Jr. had raced. It wasn't just another Hellman's car. They ran this special paint scheme, and I thought they did a nice job with it. But what that meant was there was a lot of new merchandise to sell. So it was all about the merchandise. They had the shirts, they had the hats, they had the diecast cars. If you went to the quote-unquote NASCAR hauler, which was also where they sold Richmond Raceway stuff and things like that, they had the Dale Jr. cast unautographed for $65. Okay. Now, if you go on planbsales.com, on circlebdiecast.com, Plan B Sales, same company. It's just two different arms of it. You go on their website, you're not going to pay $65 for it. I think it was without the members discount, I believe it was like $57, I think. And then with the members discount, I think it would have been $50.47, and all that. So, even at 57, you're still going to come out $8 ahead if you bought it online and you use my promo code Crew Chiefs Corner for free shipping. You're going to be ahead that $9 or $10 it would have cost to get shipped to you. So, that's why I always try to tell people, you go online, you buy your diecast cars online, don't buy them at the track. Unless you're really looking and you know that you have a driver's appearance that you have something definite for, or that you're going to come hell or high water, go and get an autograph. That's the only time I would recommend buying a car at the track. There's gypsy tents across the street that are usually charging average, retail or the, the minimum allowable price, the MAP price for those diecasts. But by and large, haulers themselves now are such a ripoff when it comes to diecast. It's unbelievable. So the NASCAR hauler is $65. Dale Jr.'s hauler is selling them for $100. Or no, I'm sorry, 85. It was 85. It was 85. And then they had a group of autographed diecast that they brought in as well that were the windshields were signed by Dale Jr. for $170. I got the Dale Jr. autograph card sent. It actually got to my house while the Richmond race was going on. I had it sent to my house. I spent $112 on that same diecast they're selling at the track for $175. So yeah, just in the future. I mean, you guys haven't heard about CircleBDiecast.com. You got to get on there. You got to get on there. You got to check them out. They have some really good prices. They also have some really, really good stuff that you can go check out. And that's why, we've been partnered with them for most of this year and a lot of the years prior, just because I think Brent and LaDonna and everybody over there at Circle B Diecast do a great job with their pricing. They try to bring it to you as cheap as they can. And like I said, you use the promo code, you get free shipping, which, I mean, right now shipping's $9.50, $10 at most places you look. So, I mean, to save $10 is huge. So free shipping, you use my promo code and we'll get off that right there. But the race itself for Junior obviously was not one of his better races. 14th, he's kind of struggled all day. I don't know if it was starting 30th. I don't know if it was the lack of practice. I can't really put my finger on one thing with him, but it just seemed like he just had a rough go at it. And I know that getting in a car once a year is extremely difficult. I think Dale Jr. even admitted on the Dale Jr. download, after Richmond, he admitted that he wished he would have taken one of those fill-in jobs that ended up going to Josh Berry, that he ended up taking one of them just so that he would have had some seat time in the car. He would have not been a total quote-unquote rookie behind the wheel. I really do think that once-a-year deal is really tough. And I know – I'm sure a lot of it is Junior that kind of makes it just once a year. I'm sure he has sponsors that would love for him to go and run 2 or 3 races a year. And maybe that's what's going to break the camel's back here with Junior. Maybe he thinks that he needs to run more than 1 race a year. Maybe he comes out and says, hey, I got to run 3 a year, or 2 a year or something. I don't know. But I do think that Junior, I think this year kind of the light went off that this was going to be a little bit harder this time around than it has been in the last couple of years for him, where he's gotten to places and he's run really competitively. I mean, he's run, I think he had a fifth and 2 fourths. The last 3 years, he's done just a one-off deal in the Xfinity Series. So Junior's got, I still think he's got the speed, especially in an Xfinity car. I just think that there's a lot of things that kind of hurt him on Saturday afternoon at Richmond. But by far, I mean, the biggest Xfinity crowd I've ever seen in a long, long time. And again, you can contribute that directly to Dale Earnhardt Jr. being there. The guy that I went with, and even myself. I mean, I like Junior. I've always liked Junior. And I think one of the reasons why, especially later in his career, he grew on me is just, listening to him on the Dale Jr. download, his appreciation of the sport, his desire to bring out the history and talk about things. I mean, Lost Speedways, I think, has been a fantastic avenue for him and his media, Dirty Mo Media, to come out and, just talk about things that, are in the past with the history of the sport. I've definitely learned a lot more about, some of these places just by watching that series and things like that. And I don't know. I think Junior's just, been a little bit more humble and things and how he handles himself. I think is part of the reason why I like Junior. I was not a big Dale Sr. fan. I actually did not like Dale Sr. at all growing up. Really despised that guy. But, I think, seeing Junior and seeing him mature and the person he's become was more the reason why I became a Dale Jr. fan. I wouldn't say he was, my favorite guy. He wasn't the guy I pulled for. Obviously, I was Mark Martin, Matt Kenseth fan growing up, and him and Kenseth, it was always kind of interesting to see who was going to run better. And I think you look at the career overall, who had the better Cup career is obviously Kenseth. Dale Jr. had the better Busch / Xfinity, whatever you want to call it, career. Jr. had the better Busch career because he had better equipment than Matt did. Matt wasn't driving Roush built equipment. He was driving cars that were built by Robbie Reiser and owned by Robbie's brother John and things like that, or his father John. So it wasn't equal equipment, and I think once Matt got into his career at Roush, he had a very, very good career at Roush, won that championship in 2003, won multiple races over there at RFR. And then when he left, he went to Gibbs and he kind of had a resurgence. That 2013 season for Matt Kenseth will go down as his best season as far as win total goes. But if you just look at how he went from, I think, 28 career wins to 39, I mean, he won 11 or 12 races in basically 4 seasons at Joe Gibbs Racing. I mean, that was a pretty torrid pace for him. At least 3 wins a season. I mean, it was just unreal. And then he had that dry spell. I mean, he won 13, 14, and 15. He won, a lot of races. He won 10 out of those 11 races at 10 out of the 11 races he won in his career at Gibbs. He won between 2013 and 2015. And then he went 15, 16. He went 16 and pretty much all of 17 before he won at Phoenix, the second to last race of the season. And that ended up being his final career win. But, you just look at Matt Kenseth's career and Dale Jr.'s and they're not even comparable. But why Jr.'s in the Hall of Fame, obviously, is for his outside of the sport contributions. And there's no denying that. So, but it was neat to see Jr. race. He did dust it up quite a bit with a couple guys, Josh Williams and Kyle Weatherman. So it was kind of neat to see Dale Jr. on the Dale Jr. download, get both of those guys on the phone, and was able to talk to both drivers and kind of see like their side of the thing. And then they kind of talked it out. And I think at the end of the day, everybody was just happy. I mean, especially if you're Josh Williams or Kyle Weatherman, I mean, to get the publicity of Dale Earnhardt Jr. racing hard against you, beating and banging with you. I think, as much as they might have been pissed in the moment or whatever, I think once they stepped back and they realized the amount of publicity that and they were getting their race team, it sort of negates whatever Dale Jr. Whether you thought Jr. was in the wrong or whatnot, he did some. He gave a couple guys a lot of publicity that might not have gotten it otherwise. And Josh Williams, here's a guy, just to put a little bit more of a spotlight on Josh Williams. Here's a guy that struggled to make it to where he's at today. Josh ran ARCA, and I remember him running ARCA with his own stuff. He had Musselman's applesauce as his primary sponsor for, a couple seasons, and he was always a top 10 guy in ARCA. And I know part of that is because there's not a lot of really competitive cars when he was racing in ARCA. You didn't have Ty Gibbs, but you had the, Venerini Motorsports. You had some pretty good teams down there that would run well, but you didn't have a team that would go out there and be as dominant as Ty Gibbs has been, right? So he was always like a, back top 10, early top, 15 kind of guy. He would be in that 10th to let's say 13th range, most racetracks. Okay. And every once in a while, Josh would pop off a top 5 or he'd finish 6th or 7th. And you'd be, wow, Josh Williams had a great day. Then he went Xfinity racing with Mario Goslin. And I remember the move and I was like, boy, this is a big jump for this kid. He's coming right out of ARCA, right into a really underfunded car. I mean, I understand that's kind of what he was used to in ARCA, but man, this is a totally different animal. And when he got in that 92 car, he's in the 92 car now, but he was in different cars. He was in the 90, he was in the 36 for a season, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But once he settled in that 92 car, you could kind of see the grit and the determination of, I can make this happen. And he clicked off some top 15s. He's hung around the top 10 a few times this year even. So Josh Williams, I believe, has the talent to compete. It's just he needs the funding. And that team needs the funding. And being that they have some old Dale Jr., Junior Motorsports race cars in their shop, I think is a plus for him. I think he's, doing the best he can with what he's got. And then you look at the flip side of Kyle Weatherman, and Kyle Weatherman's career has been all over the place. I mean, here's a kid that at one time had a deal at Roush, if I'm not mistaken. And I think it was him and Kyle Benjamin both had deals at Roush. Roush, for argument's sake, shuts down their driver development program. And both guys are let out of their contract. Both guys are looking for opportunities. Kyle Benjamin sort of latches on with Gibbs, but doesn't have the funding to really latch on all the time with Gibbs. And then he got let out of that deal. And Kyle Benjamin's kind of just floating in outer space. He runs some races with Nice Motorsports, and we really haven't heard of Kyle Benjamin that much since then. But Kyle Weatherman, on the other hand, has gone to work. I mean, he worked at Rick Ware Racing. He was working on the cars with Rick Ware. He got some opportunities to drive Rick Ware stuff in the Cup Series, in Xfinity. He jumped in Mike Harmon's equipment sometimes. And that's really why he got latched onto Mike Harmon this year, was he's working in the shop. I mean, that was part of what he mentioned on the Dale Jr. download, is he's working in the shop Monday through Friday on these race cars. And, that's why he said to Junior, and Junior even alluded to it on his podcast on the Dale Jr. download. He alluded to the fact that Weatherman told him, listen, you hit my bumper. I got to fix this thing, and Junior was telling him, well, you got to learn how to drive better then, man. If you don't want to fix it, you got to learn how to drive, and, but I look at Weatherman, and like I said, here's a kid who has to work on his car, just like Bailey Curry. He's another one, has to work on his equipment. He can't just get an opportunity because he has a lot of sponsors. He basically works in the shop. And when Rick Ware or some of these teams, Johnny Davis Motorsports recently has been calling on Bailey to come in and run their cars, he doesn't have a lot of funding behind him. The funding he does get, and they give him the opportunity to drive the car. But outside of those few chances, I mean, Bailey Curry really kind of was all over the place. He was working a little bit with Nice. He was working a little bit with Rick Ware. He's working now, with Mike Harmon. I don't know if he's working at Johnny Davis's team or he's just actually being called in to drive. I don't know how that all works, but I know BJ McLeod, who owns the McLeod, who owns the 78 team, has driven some for Johnny Davis too. And I know Bailey and BJ, have crossed paths in the past as well. So I don't know if BJ's putting in a good word for him, for Bailey at Johnny Davis's team and stuff like that. But it just really makes you kind of smile a little bit at the racing community and how sometimes these guys that just don't have, for lack of a better terminology, a pot to piss in, get a shot at a team. And sometimes it's those shots that set their careers up and set them up as a fan favorite and somebody that, those of you that work really hard for a living and like blue collar drivers. I mean, I'd point you in the direction of a Josh Williams, a Jeremy Clements, a Ryan Sieg, Kyle Weatherman, Josh Williams. Like I said, there's a lot of guys that if you really understand their story, you'll see why these guys are so likable and why these are the guys that, a lot of times we try to talk about on this podcast, is because of how hard these guys work. It's not, listen, Ty Gibbs jumps in a race car and drives it. Okay. Ty's not at the shop every single day working on his equipment. He might go to the shop, run the simulator, talk to his crew chief and all these other things, but Ty Gibbs is not physically working on that race car. Okay. Just like, you look at a lot of the Cup guys, these Cup guys, Kyle Busch's of the world, the Martin Truex Jr.'s of the world, even Matt Kenseth, Mark Martin, these guys aren't working on their stuff. They're just showing up and racing, okay, because they have a sponsor that's supporting them, putting them in the car. So that's why it makes it so refreshing when you see a Josh Berry get an opportunity with Junior Motorsports and go out there and compete and win with it. And just, Josh Berry's that guy. I mean, he won Martinsville. We'll talk about last night's race during, this upcoming week's episode. I don't want to ruin it today, but you just look at somebody like Josh Berry, and he is taking advantage of an opportunity, and that's what all these guys want. That's what Kyle Weatherman wants. That's what all these guys need. All these guys want those opportunities to go out and prove to people that they can win races and compete at the sport's highest level. But getting back to what we were talking about, which was Richmond, big win for Noah Gragson, second win of the season. Obviously, The way the strategies all played out sort of worked in his favor. And just, 2 wins in a row. I mean, a lot of momentum going into Bristol the regular season finale. You would think that he would be an odds-on favorite there for Bristol, considering he won there in the past, but that's not always the case. Just because you win one race doesn't mean you're going to win two, and just because you win two doesn't mean you're going to win three. So, a tough, like I said, a tough road for Noah this season. It hasn't been pretty. He struggled quite a bit, but they ran well at Darlington, which is a hell of a hard place to come out and run as well as he did. And then he followed that up with another big win at Richmond, a tough track, slick track. So he's a guy that, maybe if the track's a little bit slick and greasy and stuff, he's a guy to look at. And Noah's a big, a big fan of that kind of racing. You see it. He enjoyed that win at Richmond. He enjoyed that win at Darlington as well because of how hot and slick both of those tracks were. So big win. And then let's move on to the Cup race. So I'll tell you, Saturday night, the Cup race, I was a little bit nervous because the Xfinity race was so good Saturday. I mean, Saturday during the day, you had a slipping and sliding. You had some wrecks going on. You had guys, running different strategies. I was so nervous that the Cup race Saturday night at Richmond was going to be such a snooze fest, but it really wasn't. And I know overall there's a lot of people that were upset about the race. They didn't like the way the race played out, things like that. But, the thing you have to keep in mind, as somebody that was at the track, I'm able to watch all 37 cars and I could pick up on different things. When you're watching on TV, you're stuck with whatever NBC Sports wants to give you. And I think that this is where our TV partners, I know they try to do the best they can, but this is where I think TV, especially NBC, I mean, we have, you can go on and watch it on the NBC Sports app, but I really wish that they would have like a 360 kind of cam where you could go and watch and you could just see the cars going around, and then the fans can experience it like they're at the track. Because I don't know how you guys watch it when you go to the track. I know how I watch when I go to the track. I have a couple drivers I listen to on my scanner, and I'm following them along, but I'm also watching some of the other battles. And sometimes I'll watch, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. trying to get around, Ryan Preece, or he's trying to battle Tyler Reddick or Austin Dillon, or you name the guy that runs in that mid pack. Normally, you could kind of see some of those battles. You don't see that on TV, and then you see the Joey Logano's and the Chase Elliott's battling and things like that. You can kind of be in control of what you're seeing on the racetrack, where at home you're forced to watch whatever NBC tells you that they're showing you on the screen. That's basically what's the difference. And that's why I tell people all the time, I know people think certain tracks are boring, but if you go to the track and actually physically watch the race, it's way better than sitting there watching it on TV and being like, man, this is the most boring race. There's no passing. There's no wrecks. There's no cautions. I tell you, it was not a boring race. I did not almost fall asleep at this one. I've almost fallen asleep at some races. I mean, I'll tell you, Dover has had a couple snooze fests the last couple of years. We didn't have that last, 2 weeks ago at Richmond on that Saturday night. But what I will say, the proudest moment I had of the whole weekend was the pre-race ceremonies they did with the fire truck and the police officers parading the field around, and them turning the sirens on the fire truck, and that image of the fans holding up the American flags, waving it, and then the USA chant going. I mean, bar none, the greatest moment I've ever been to at a sporting event. And I didn't get to go to Dover in 2001. I really wanted to go there, and I just remember, just the way the country was that day, 20 years, ago. I wanted to go to Dover. I know we're coming up on the 20th anniversary of that first race back after the attacks. I wanted to be at Dover. I wanted to go. I wanted to go to that race. I wanted to be there. And I remember my dad we're not going. Like there's just no way. It's too expensive. There's too much going on. The Air Force Base is right there. He's like, I no, and that's out of all the races I wish I would have went to, that was the one I wish I went to the most. Not because Junior won, not because of anything else. I just wanted to be there that day. I thought it was like the place to be and the thing to do, because I thought that we as Americans needed to show that these people that did this to us weren't going to win this battle. They weren't going to win this war. We were going to prevail, and I felt very strongly about that, which is part of the reason why I was so happy that this friend of mine came up to me and said, "Hey, I want to go to Richmond." And I looked and it was 9/11. I was like, 20th anniversary. Yes, let's go. And I knew it was going to be a special night. I knew, just by walking in and walking the midway, they had a piece of steel from the Twin Towers there on a flatbed trailer of a truck, and you could walk by it and just to have that there was surreal. All the patriotic cars. I wish every sponsor in the field would have done it, but it was just a very poignant moment, and I thought it was something to notate here on the podcast. If you haven't seen the clip of it yet, I have it up on our Facebook page, and it's up on. I'm pretty sure it's up on Instagram and also on TikTok as well. By far, one of our most viewed videos I've ever put up, and I think that is for very good reason. I think a lot of people really enjoyed that, and I know a couple people were upset about the puny flags that they handed out, but for those of you that don't remember, after the 9/11 attacks, you couldn't get American flags anywhere because people were buying them left, right, and center, and somehow they found 100. MBNA, who was the sponsor of the race over 20 years ago now, Dover, found 150,000 American flags in a warehouse somewhere. And they were like the pencil size, like almost the same size of what they handed out. Now, I know the flags themselves were a little bit bigger, but for argument's sake, that's what they found. And, I think to do that and replicate it at Richmond 20 years later with a very similar tribute to the first responders, I thought it was spot on. There was a lot of people in the crowd were pretty proud of what we did with the USA chant. I know we tried getting it going after the national anthem. I was kind of a little disappointed in my fellow race fans that we didn't get the one after the national anthem going as well as I thought it should have. But overall, I thought we did it at the right time, and it ended up, I think, showing up on TV. I heard it the next morning. I heard it on TV, and I thought it played pretty well. It was, like I said, a very poignant moment. So the race itself, Martin Truex Jr. getting that penalty, lap one, craziness, right? Jump to start. I'm pretty sure everybody knows not to beat the leader not to beat the leader to the start-finish line, especially on the first initial start of the race. But Truex forgot that rule and got caught, got penalized, went down a lap, almost went down a lap, but was able to battle back and really have the car of the night. Obviously, Kyle Busch didn't help himself with all those penalties throughout the night. And that last one, the speeding on pit road, really was the dagger in his evening. But dominating win for Martin Truex Jr. Another win on a short track. Here's a guy that couldn't win on a short track to save his life. The beginning part of his career, in the last, I'd say 4 or 5 years, he's just been the driver. So it makes going to Phoenix really interesting for Truex, and I think he's going to be the guy to beat out there at Phoenix if he gets in the Final Four. So I'd say be really, really careful if Truex is in that Final Four if you're going to Phoenix. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take another quick break here on the Crew Chiefs Corner podcast. We are going to talk about our friends at Anchor. So you can create your own podcast if you're ever interested in doing such a thing. I'll tell you how you can do that. And then what we'll do is we'll come back and we will break down the races at Bristol. This is the Crew Chiefs Corner podcast, hosted by Bobby Bailey. All right, guys, this is Bobby Bailey back here on the Coochie's Corner podcast. We are now going to discuss the race weekend at Bristol. And my, oh my, what a crazy race. Weekend. The whole weekend was nuts. I mean, whether it was the ARCA race, the truck race, every single one of them was just nuts. So we'll start with the truck race. Obviously, I thought the truck race had a little bit too much wrecking. If I have to critique it, there is such a thing, guys. There is such a thing. There was too much wrecking. Sheldon Creed had the truck. It looked like he was going to sweep the whole round, first opening round there for the playoffs. But a late race caution really stirred the pot up. And really what happened was you had a couple lap dash for the win. And realistically, what you had happen was the guy that probably needed to win the most, Chandler Smith, just used any and all means necessary to win that race. So a big win for Chandler Smith, his first career Camping World Truck Series win, and just did what he had to do. I mean, he moved Creed out of the way. Creed cut his tire down and finished poorly, but Chandler Smith went on, won the race, which is what he needed to do in order to advance into the round of 8. And he did that. So a big win for him. Obviously a rough night for Austin Hill and also Todd Gilliland, two guys that I don't really think you would have had playoffs, that of two guys that you would have said, hey, these are the two that are going to get out of the first round of the playoffs for them. But now they go to the round of 8, which they started not yesterday, but they started Friday evening out at Las Vegas. And again, we'll talk about that on this upcoming week's episode of the Crew Chiefs Corner podcast. So you'll have a podcast today, and then you'll probably have one, let's say Thursday, to listen to. So 2 episodes in the week, trying to make up a little bit for lost time there as well. So I hope you guys tune in on Thursday for our second episode of the week. And then you get to the Xfinity race, and I mean, you thought the truck race was good, and you're like, okay, let's see what the Xfinity boys do. And a little bit more calmer in the beginning. Definitely Austin Cindric had a good car. You knew Justin Allgaier was pretty good. Those were the guys that were in the mix. And then you had a late race caution. Sam Mayer had a really good car at one point, had the lead, kind of a little bit of a strategy move there. And then I guess Allgaier got frustrated with Sam Mayer. I don't know what the hell happened there. They raced extremely hard. They wrecked with 4 laps to go. Austin Cindric looks like he's on his way to getting the win and looking like he's going to get the regular season championship. But Justin Allgaier, pulled out the old hold my beer meme and basically caused that final caution when he got into Sam Mayer and spun him around with about 4 laps to go. So then we had a wild finish. And this is the finish everybody's been talking about. This is the talk of, radio. This was, every podcast I think has talked about this. The finish of one of the finishes of all time. I won't say it's the all-time greatest finish, but it was a great one. They get the green flag with 2 laps to go on a green-white checkered. And right away, they're starting to beat and banging. And, Allgaier's trying to beat and bang Cindric out of the way. Then here comes Allmendinger. He's trying to beat and bang. Allgaier falls back. He's beating and banging with Riley Herbst, who is trying to win a race. Oh my God! If Riley Herbst won that race, I would have thrown a fit. Just saying that on record. But then it really comes down to AJ and Cindric. AJ got into Cindric into 1 and 2. AJ missed turn 3. I don't know what the hell AJ was doing. I don't know if he was so excited going into turn 3 as the leader, he just missed the turn or what the hell happened there. But something happened, and he missed turn 3, which allowed Cindric to get to him underneath him coming out of turn 4. And I think Cindric, because he got beat up by both drivers, body slammed by both drivers with his car, he felt like, hey, you did this to me, I'm going to do it to you. And he got into him, and the two of them went across the start-finish line slideways. And I thought Justin Haley was going to – I almost thought they were going to wreck before they even got to the start-finish line. I thought they were going to hit the wall before that point. And I was like, oh, my God, Justin Haley's going to win this race. This is going to be nuts. And they slid across, both of them, And then the wreck happened, and ironically, Justin Haley ended up T-boning his teammate and caused a lot of damage. But that car's beat to hell. I was gonna say another word, but it was beat to hell. And what a finish. And then when you had 3 wild races, you knew the Cup race was going to be a snooze fest. I mean, it was like a given. It was a given the Cup race was going to be a snooze fest because you knew ARCA. I mean, ARCA was ARCA. 200 laps for those ARCA boys. I don't know what the hell they were smoking when they came up with that, number of laps. 150 probably would have been a little bit better. 100, 150, 125, something like that would have been better for the ARCA guys. 200 is just too much for those guys. They just, I don't know what the hell they're going to do there. But anyhow, you knew that the Saturday night race was going to be an absolute snooze fest. If the Xfinity and the truck race was as good as they were, you knew that Cup race was going to suck. And it did not disappoint. I mean, Elliott, Harvick, we could sit here and talk about it for 6 hours. Listen, at the end of the day, 2 guys racing hard. You got to commend them for talking it out the way they did. Jordan Bianchi, I don't know what the hell he's doing. Listen, I'll be the first person to say the media should have a right to be in the garage area filming and videotaping whatever the hell they want. But if Kevin Harvick comes over to you and says stop, I would kind of back up and stop or back up, move, like kind of change angles or something. And then, try to be out of Harvick's sight and do it. I mean, Nate Ryan did have a different angle of it. And Harvick never said 2 words to Nate Ryan about it. Chase Elliott never said 2 words to Nate Ryan about it. But I don't know what the hell was going on with Jordan. Pretty funny. He posts 2 different segments of video. He posted the one where we all saw Harvick and Chase get out of their cars and talk right after the race was over. But then he posted part of the confrontation in the garage or the discussion in the garage, but he didn't post the part that everybody wanted to see, which was Harvick and what Harvick said to Jordan, basically to tell him to stop or whatever the hell was said. And he didn't post that part. That's the part America wants to see, Jordan. Come on, man. You know how much your Twitter would blow up if you posted that? I mean, the guy would have gotten another 1 million or so followers. It probably would have gotten retweeted and reshared 1 million times at least. But Jordan Bianchi does what I think is the pansy move at least, and he doesn't put it up. So it leaves the rest of us to wonder what was actually said to him. I guess maybe he thought he'd get in trouble if he posted that. I don't know, but. Like I said, I wasn't a big fan of that move by him. I would have posted it. I mean, what the hell? Harvick's mad. I mean, what's going to happen? Harvick's going to tell you to take it down? I mean, come on. I mean, I get it. He didn't want to upset Kevin more than he already did. But again, what's the worst that Harvick's going to do? Harvick's going to tell him to take it down or block him on Twitter. I mean, that would have led to something. That would have been cool. But come on, Jordan, you got to post it, man. If I'll tell you now, if Harvick told me to stop video, I would have posted a damn video just for everybody to see what the hell he said to me. And then there was a lot of discussion, on Twitter about the guy in the white shirt. I think it's Josh Jones, if I'm not mistaken. That's Harvick's business manager / co-owner of KHI Management. He was, standing there and, I understand the role of the business manager / partner of, Kevin's business affairs or whatever you want to call it. But I think he got too involved. I think that was the thing that aggravated me watching it I think Josh Jones was just too involved in it. I think there comes a point in time where you get involved in something and there's a point in time when you don't get involved in something. And I think that was a moment where if he wanted to be there because he was afraid that Chase was going to punch Kevin or they were going to get into a fight and he needed to hold Kevin back, I could understand that. I understand that. But at the point in time where you're just standing there just to chirp back and forth at everything that Chase Elliott's saying, I think you're crossing the line. And that's where I think, Josh did. I think Josh crossed that line. I think he kind of got a little too much into the, this isn't a discussion between Josh Jones, Kevin Harvick, and Chase Elliott. This is Kevin Harvick and Chase Elliott having a conversation. Let those 2 guys chat. Let those two guys talk it out. And I think what Chase got frustrated with and why Chase said something to Josh was, hey, man, I'm trying to talk to the driver. I'm not talking to you. You have nothing to do with this. And I think that's why ultimately between Jordan Bianchi, Josh Jones, I think that made the two of them angry enough at the situation that they were in that they couldn't hear each other. That's why they ended up going to Chase's Hauler and having a closed door discussion where it was just those two and not the entourage that was with the two of them. But overall, I thought it was good that those two guys talked it out at the track. They didn't go home and have a Twitter war like some of these guys do, or wait and hash it out on the phone. They actually had a conversation at the racetrack. They talked it out, and you hope for argument's sake, you hope that the two of them are okay with each other, and now they're able to go and race. Here coming up later today at Las Vegas. So we'll see what happens. But do I think Kevin was really wrong for being mad that Chase held him up and cost him the win? No. Did Chase have every right to do what he did? Absolutely. This is part of racing, and these are racing incidences, and these guys, they get fired up. They will get fired up, and they will have moments of being angry at each other and moments where they're like, man, this guy really pissed me off today. You're going to see that, and that's part of the playoffs, and that's the draw of the playoffs and what NASCAR needs. I mean, you want to talk about a season, Fox billed this earlier in the year as the best season ever. Well, that's why. They want excitement. They want to see these guys going at it. They want to see the rivalries, the drama, the anger, the passion. That's what fans want to see, right? We talked about how boring some of these races have been this year and how bad, we don't like the 550 package. And this is a 750 package race. And God, I'm getting to be like Kyle Busch. I'm sick of talking about the damn packages. What horsepower package they're running. Oh, is it the high downforce, low downforce? Who cares? The product we saw Saturday night at Bristol was amazing, was it not? That's what you want to see as a fan. You want to see guys push each other to the limits, get angry, create a rivalry. That's what you want to see. You don't want to see guys hanging out with each other like they're best bros all the time. Where you see Bubba Wallace hanging out with Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney in a pool. They're best friends. I mean, was Dale Earnhardt best friends with a lot of drivers? No. He had a very select few people that he hung out with, very select few people that he was friends with, and most of them were not race car drivers. He was hanging out with Ty Norris. He was hanging out with his brothers and stuff. I mean, Dale was very, very, very private. He wasn't hanging out with Jeff Gordon every single day. He didn't go on hunting trips with a lot of people. He only went with select few people. He would go with Johnny Mars. He would go with Richard Childress. That's kind of when everybody says racing was good in the 90s. Well, that's why, because guys didn't get along. There was a rivalry between Earnhardt and Dale Sr. We haven't seen a lot of that in these since 2000, let's say 5 or 6. I really think that since Tony Stewart has been hasn't been as outspoken when he was driving, the later stages of Stewart's career was really when we lost a little bit of that rivalry. And I think a lot of people, I know that the reason why people don't like Kyle Busch, but if we didn't have Kyle Busch, think of how boring the sport would be right now. I mean, I know Chase and Harvick got into it, but realistically, I mean, this was the angriest I've seen Harvick in a long time. And you saw a little glimpse of the old Harvick, the Harvick that would stand on top of his roof and yell at Ricky Rudd or jump across his car and try to take Greg Biffle out. That's the Harvick that I grew up watching. And to see Harvick be the guy that's like, whatever, and then him get out of that car with that fire and that passion of going after Chase Elliott, that's what these fans want to see. That's what the people want to see. And hopefully these drivers understand that, and they do get more passion, and they do have confrontations, and they do have arguments, and they have disagreements. I still think that the crew guys got to let the drivers have the conversations, let the guys have the fights, let the drivers be the ones that are having these discussions, not chirping back and forth, and then we got a crew fight, But I thought overall, I mean, Bristol knocked it out of the park. Do I think we need to cover Bristol and dirt? I know that was a popular question this week on social media. I agree. We don't need to do it. We need to do, if we're going to have a dirt race, we got to have it somewhere. I think North Wilkesboro is the best bet. I'm 100% on board with that. I know a couple people are leading the charge on that one. I think Bristol needs to stay concrete, both races. Let's take a race away from a boring racetrack. Let's take a race away from, somewhere, and let's add North Wilkesboro on dirt. Let's make it happen. That's what we need to see. End of discussion. Do I want Bristol to be the championship race? Probably not. And I'll tell you why. I think the championship race should be at a more exciting track. I know everyone's going to say, Bobby, a more exciting track. Are you on crack? How many people want Bristol as their championship race? I know there's going to be a few of you that are going to say yes. But think about having your season finale race back at Homestead, Miami. And you can't tell. I mean, I know Bristol is good, but we have had so many bad races at Bristol over the years. I don't know if I want to risk, just because you had one really good race at Bristol, I don't know if I want to risk having a boring championship race when Homestead the last 10 years has been not lights out for those races. And those guys can run the wall. They can run down low. They get Bristol, I don't know how it's going to be with the new car. We don't know that, right? I'd hate to say that the Bristol we saw last Saturday night is the one that is going to always deliver the finish that we saw. I'm just saying, for those of you that want to have Bristol as your championship race, let's see what the new car does at Bristol, and then I'll make a determination. But I would say right now, today, if we were going to bring these cars back next year and run these cars that we just ran at Bristol, I would be okay with a championship race there. But with this new car, I don't think it's fair to put that buildup and that pressure on Bristol being the championship race with a brand new car. I say let's put the pressure on Phoenix. I think Homestead Miami late in the season is a big win. I think the 2022 schedule changes were great. I don't like that Pocono lost a cup race. I know a lot of you out there hate Pocono. I love going there, okay? I like going there. I like watching the races. They are enjoyable. Again, when you could watch whatever the heck you want to watch, instead of be tied down to what TV is showing you, it is actually an exciting race to go to. You can see the strategy. You can see a lot of different things. But if you're just watching on TV, you don't get to see all the excitement. You don't get to see all the different strategies. You don't get to hear the radio unfiltered and hearing the guy screaming and cursing back and forth at each other. There's a lot of things that happen in a NASCAR race that people just don't see if you're only watching it on TV. So that's what I got to say about that. But the other thing I want to talk about, I'm going to see how much time I have here left. Let's talk about 2021 news. So we found out for sure that Kaulig Racing announced yesterday that their driver, the number 11, is going to be Daniel Hemrick. Listen, I know a lot of people have asked the question, why does this guy keep getting rides? Listen, he's going to get rides as long as he has funding. And as long as he has funding, he's going to be driving in one of these three series. Right now, he's got, I guess, enough funding to go run an Xfinity car, and that's what they're going to do. So we'll see what happens. Do I have a lot of hope that he's going to go out and win? I don't know. I mean, he hasn't won in Gibbs stuff. I don't know what really makes anybody think he's going to go out and win in the Kaulig stuff. Because I think they are the two best teams, one of the three best teams in the series right now, especially in Xfinity. And he hasn't won in either, really in those cars. So I just don't know. And then Myatt Snyder won in an RCR car, which is what he ran the year before that. So I don't know. Junior Motorsports car, even more successful. You've seen a lot of different drivers win there. So, I just don't know. I just don't know how it's going to pan out. I mean, I guess Chris Rice and Matt Kaulig are much smarter than the rest of us, but I just don't see it. I just don't see it being a big change. Xfinity unveiled a newer logo. It's now purple instead of red. I believe that's part of their color combination change that's coming up. That's why they made that move. I'm trying to think of what else we had. We know GMS is going cup racing. It sounds like the reports are that Ty Dillon's going to land that deal. It sounds like Ty's going to drive for them full time next season. Don't know really where that charter's coming from, but that's what we've heard. And then we know Jeb Burton sponsor Nutrient Ag Solutions. They are not coming back to college, so that puts Jeb's seat for 2022 in jeopardy. Again, Jeb just limited sponsorship. I know he won a race this year at Talladega, a little bit rain shortened, but again, sponsors leaving, sponsors coming in. We'll see what happens. Sounds like we know for sure Sheldon Creed's going to drive for Childress next year in the Xfinity Series, driving that number 2 car, I believe. But there's a rumor out there that he's going to have a teammate. So we'll see how that all happens and who that is. They were kind of hinting at something on Door Bumper Clear about a driver that a lot of fans would like to see in a car with some sponsorship. So I don't know. Is that a past driver that's coming back or what that means, but we'll see. And then I really do think Xfinity is going to be a little bit competitive next year. It sounds like there's going to be some other drivers making some announcements for Xfinity. So hopefully we'll see some more stuff happening there. I think a lot of the Cup stuff is starting to settle. We'll find out some more news, but I really think that once the Ty Dillon domino drops, I really don't know how much more there really is out there. Obviously, I guess we'll find out sort of what happens with the 2311, what exactly happens with the charter for the 45. Is that coming from Front Row? Does Front Row shut down one car? Is Front Row selling out? We'll find out all the information on that, I'm sure, at some point in time. What is Spire Motorsports doing with the 00 charter? Now that we know that Starcom's shutting down at the end of the season, even though they haven't publicly confirmed that, that's the report. And then that was backed up by a crew member who said it on Twitter, the shop foreman, and then he took it down. I think Starcom wanted them to take it down because they hadn't publicly announced that they were leaving yet, but they are, as far as we know. And that's going to Spire Motorsports. And then we still don't know what's going to happen with Rick Ware and his charters and that giant-ass mess over there. We heard that they're going to go run 2 cars next year. That was what Rick said earlier in the season, but again, not sure exactly what 2 cars they're going to be and who's going to be in them. I'm guessing Cody Ware is going to be in one, and then we will see who the other driver is, or is it a mix of drivers? Is it going to be James Davison plus others? We'll see. But that's really a lot of the 2022 news that we found out the last couple weeks. We know Dale Jr. kind of hinted that he's going to be back next season in an Xfinity race for sure. I don't know what race he's going to do. He's going to try to talk him into doing Martinsville, Hellman. So we'll see if that happens. But, a lot going on, a lot of things still to fall. And we'll see what happens as the weeks wind down here in the NASCAR season. We are out to Las Vegas later today for the NASCAR Cup Series. They're going to run the South Point 400. Obviously, I think this is a big round. I do think we're going to lose one of the 3-4 drivers that are in the playoffs right now. So I think we're going to lose either Logano, Brad Keselowski, or Harvick. I would say out of the 3, the one that has the best shot of making it is Logano. I think Joey has won at Las Vegas the last couple of years. Usually he's pretty good there. I think he has a realistic shot of winning either Las Vegas or Talladega. Brad Keselowski is very good at Talladega. Las Vegas, he's kind of okay at. He does have a win there in the past as well. Harvick's the one I'm the most worried about. He's the one that struggled the most this season, did not run well at Las Vegas. If you look back at the spring race, he did not run well there. Talladega is not really his strong suit, and the Roval is definitely not a track that he's been good at. He's not been good at road courses the last couple of years either. So I think Harvick's the one that's in the most trouble. I think Logano and Keselowski are in the best shot to move forward, but one of those 3 guys and a former champion is going to get eliminated as well out of that group. So I would put my money on Harvick. I would say the guys that are gonna get eliminated this round is probably going to be Harvick. I think Bowman, Byron are going to be in that mix as well. And I think there's room for one surprise. I think there's room for a surprise. We almost saw this surprise of Kyle Busch get eliminated. I think Kyle's in trouble this round as well. but I could see, something really shocking, like a Denny Hamlin get eliminated. I could even see Chase Elliott get eliminated if the cards don't fall right. I know Chase is a favorite to win at Talladega in the Roval. But if Chase has a terrible race today, they have a really bad finish, he gets caught up in a wreck, he blows a motor, something catastrophic happens at 9 car, it's going to be interesting to see what happens because Talladega is such a wild card next week. We know that the Roval is going to be a wild card after that. So it's going to beg the question of what's going to happen. So we'll see. But on that note, we will end this episode of the Crew Chiefs Corner podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. For those of you that watched us on Twitch and on YouTube, thanks for joining us for the live record. We will catch you guys all on Thursday. Probably not a live record on Thursday. We'll probably just do the regular audio only version. But thanks so much for tuning in. This is Bobby Bailey on the Crew Chiefs Corner podcast. We'll catch you next week as we'll break down Las Vegas and we'll look ahead to Talladega. Have a great day. All right, guys. Have a good one.